Let's talk quarterbacks. I'll let you. Zach's going to have to hop off for just a couple minutes here in a little bit, but he'll be back. He's not leaving the show for the rest of the show. He's got to take care of something, and he'll be back for the majority of the show. So, Zach, I'll let you lead it off on your preview of the quarterbacks. What are your thoughts going into this year?
I mean, really excited because you have a guy that is returning that has had a ton of experience. I mean, not just talking last year at LSU, but also discussing, all of his 3 years at Arizona State.
Yeah.
So he's in his 5th year playing quarterback. He doesn't have to worry about school as much. He's graduated. He doesn't have to worry about school. He's focused on football and football only. Learned the Mike Denbrock system last year, as you said, got a full bathing of what that offensive playbook looks like, what it is, how to run it, everything. And so now it's just perfecting it, right, this offseason. And that's what they've done, is worked on it. Obviously, the biggest thing this year is going to be, can he progress? Can he stretch the ball downfield more than he did last year? That's going to be the biggest question. We know that he can do a ton of damage with his feet. We know that he is an adequate quarterback at passing the football in the short to mid range game, passing game. So can we stretch the field? Right. A lot of people, whenever he got hurt in the Georgia game and Garrett Nussmeier came in, Garrett Nussmeier started slinging it, and you saw what these receivers could do when you stretch the field. They could get open against the opposing DBs.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a matter of, will JD be able to pull the trigger this year? That's going to be a massive, massive storyline, I think, in this Florida State game and in the entire rest of the season. So we'll see. I think, you obviously have mad confidence in what he can do this season for LSU. I mean, you have to have him. You had to have him last year. If you don't have Jaden Daniels last year, you don't go you don't win 10 games. It's just, that's just a fact.
Absolutely not. Yeah.
And the same is true this year. You have to have them. Now, with that said, I am really confident in what Garrett can do. Knock on wood, Jaden gets hurt, something happens. We don't want anything to happen, but something happens. Jaden goes down. He's hurt. You're fully confident in bringing in Garrett Nussmeier and running the offense, right? There is a confidence there. You want to see, obviously, the turnovers. Hopefully they've worked on that as well, because that still was a little bit of an issue last year.
Right.
Seemed like near the end of last year, though, when he had his opportunities and came into ball games, that wasn't as much of an issue near the end of the year. I'm thinking about the Georgia game, and I'm thinking about the Purdue game when he had his chances near at the end of the year. Seemed like he had kind of figured out a little bit more of how to not be have that gunslinger mentality when it was not needed, right? and not make the mistakes that he had in the past.
Sure.
We'll see this year, because I think he's going to get opportunities. He's definitely going to get opportunities. And I mean, if you think about it, if Jaden goes down, let's just say he doesn't get hurt, like it's like he's going to be out for X amount of time, but like he's kind of like, banged up a little bit, and he has to come out for like a couple plays or a series because he got banged up and they're working on him on the sideline or something like that.
Right.
Like, you put Garrett Nussmeier in, and you're like, we can sling that thing, right? Like we can run the offense completely how it needs to be ran. It's not, hey,
if Garrett's out there, put Chris Hilton on the field. That's what
it's not like, hey, let's put him out. Let's put the backup quarterback out there and let's hand it off. And let's throw some little screens, or whatever, or some little slant route. Like, you can run the offense completely. If anything happens to JD, again, Lord forbid that to happen, but anything happens, you're completely confident in what Garrett can do. And then, obviously Reed Collins, I'm not going to talk a whole lot, but he's going to be able to develop a little bit. He's going to get the opportunity to sit underneath both of those guys and learn and grow as a quarterback, as a young quarterback that in a couple of years could be great for LSU.
Hopefully he can take a red shirt this year.
Yeah, and
that would be nice.
He takes a red shirt so he gets another year. We'll see. I think the biggest thing for me is, man, just stay injury free with Jayden and Garrett. You don't want either one of those guys to get hurt, because then you're actually looking at Ricky going, okay, he's our next guy up.
Right.
If one guy goes down and another one goes down, it's Ricky Collins. And so, man, stay healthy. That's the biggest thing for me with these quarterbacks. The other thing I want to discuss, Reagan, is, what are we looking at yardage wise? And we talked about this last year. I do believe that Jayden will be close to 4,000 yards. I do believe that passing. I think that he is going to be in the neighborhood of 3,200 to 3,500 passing yards this year. I do believe that. Maybe more. Maybe 3,800. He could get close to 4,000 yards passing this year. We'll have to wait and see how it plays out. And we discussed that a little bit last week. Now, the question, though, is how much will he do with his feet? Last year, he was LSU's leading rusher. And he had to do it. We had to have him. This year, I don't think you have to have him as much with the ground game. I think this year you can rely more so on that whole stable of backs to do what you need to do in the running game. And it can kind of just be, when Jay needs to scramble, when he needs to get out of a situation, right? When the pocket collapses, he's going to have that versatility and he can do that. So I don't think the rushing attempts nor yards are going to be as much as they were last year. I think they're going to be less than they were this past year. But Reagan, if he is a 3,800 yard passer and he's 500 or more yards rushing, you're sitting in New York at near the end of the year.
Yeah.
So Jayden has the potential to have a massive, massive year. He has the potential to make a ton of money as well. No doubt. It's going to be very interesting to see the development that has taken place in the offseason with him in his vertical passing game. And if it pays off and we are able to see a vertical passing game from him that is effective, I mean, we're talking like you're going to talk numbers that are going to be second best to Joe Burrow only.
No doubt.
And I fully believe that. I fully believe that. Like, he could be the second best the second best passing season in LSU history next to Joe Burrow this year. I very much think that's achievable.
Yeah, I got to agree with you. I believe he is going to. If you want my opinion, I'll kind of give you my breakdown, and then I'll kind of give you my takes because I want to say a few things. First and foremost, I am elated to have Jayden Daniels back. I'm glad he came back, and it is set up for a very exciting season. I am thrilled, number two, Zach, that Garrett Nussmeier decided to come back. That speaks volumes. Garrett Nussmeier deciding to come back speaks volumes to what Brian Kelly has done in this program. It speaks volume to how this program is being built, the feeling around the program, the loyalty to Brian Kelly. And I am super excited. I know this is kind of looking ahead, but I am super excited to see this torch passed on to Garrett Nussmeier, because we didn't get that. We wanted that with Joe Burrow and Miles Brennan, and we didn't really get that. I mean, you did, but we know how the whole Miles Brennan situation played out. I mean, it just is what it is. But I think Garrett Nussmeier and Jayden Daniels, this thing is going to grow into this quarterback situation with LSU because of Joe Burrow, and now Jayden Daniels, Garrett Nussmeier, and seeing Garrett say, hey, no, I'm not going to hit the portal, I'm going to stay, is growing into some really great success for LSU in the future at quarterback. That's kind of my thoughts on where we are in the quarterback room right now. And I hope that Ricky Collins can take a red shirt. That's my hope for this year. Got to stay healthy to do that, obviously. But I want Ricky Collins to take a red shirt this year. He needs some to grow, and maybe you can get him in 4 games and get him some live snaps, maybe in some of the games that are blowouts, and keep a year of eligibility for him. I'm really excited to see Garrett in times, in dead time as well, seeing him continue to get reps. But all of that leads to this point. I think that Jayden Daniels is going to have the second, and Zach kind of already alluded to this, but I am going to claim that Jayden Daniels is going to have the second best quarterback season in LSU history. It's my hot take for this season. I don't know if it's much of a hot take, but it's my take for this season. I think Jayden Daniels eclipses 4,000. I think he's going to throw for, if I had to give you a range, I think it's going to be 3,800 to 4,000. I think he very well could go over 4,000 yards. I think he becomes the second single season passing leader in LSU single season history. I think he throws 25 touchdowns. I think he has about 400 to 500 rushing yards, tack on about 5 more touchdowns. And I think that Jayden Daniels is going to be sitting in New York come Heisman Trophy time. I will not say that he will win the Heisman. I won't claim that. But my hot take is that he will have the second greatest quarterback single season for an LSU Tiger since Joe Burrow. So I just, from everything we have seen, that is my take for Jayden Daniels. And I genuinely believe he's going to be sitting in New York come Heisman time. So I'm super excited to see this. I think he is going to air it out. I mean, last year, I think it is simply a product of him not being quite used to the system, him not having quite enough time and chemistry to work with these receivers. Therefore, he was timid at times to let the ball loose. And that led to him, welcome back, Zach, by the way. He ran for over 800 yards last year and 11 touchdowns. But I do believe I think he is within 3,800 to 4,100 yards passing. I think he's 400 to 500 yards rushing. I think he throws 25 touchdowns, and I think he rushes for another 5. That gives him 30 touchdowns on the year. I think he could go more, and I think he could be on the high end of both of those stats in terms of the yards. And I do think he is sitting in New York come Heisman time. You're muted, Zach. That Zach. I was just telling them. Can
you hear me now? Sorry.
Yeah, I was telling them it's my hot take for the season, but I don't know if it's really a hot take. But I think
he'll be in New York.
I think he'll be in New York, and I also think he can easily eclipse 4,000 yards passing this year.
I wouldn't be surprised. I would not be surprised at all. I would love for that to happen. We're just gonna have to wait and see. And he's gonna have some big time games that he's gonna have opportunities to step up and really put himself in the forefront of the Heisman race for sure.
And I mean, he's already the second favorite. So
yeah,
if he puts up those kind of numbers this year, and let's say Caleb Williams does about the same as he does last year, I think Jayden wins it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And if you win the West again, then go compete in the SEC championship, and maybe you get like a New Year's Six bowl. Let's say you lose to Georgia in the SEC championship and compete in the SEC or a New Year's Six bowl. I think he could win it then. If you go to the SEC championship and you win it, I think Jayden Daniels is the Heisman. If he's putting up those kind of numbers, I think he's the Heisman.